A woman has survived an ordeal in the Adelaide Hills, waiting nearly 4 hours to be rescued after falling while bushwalking. The victim, a well-known ghost tour operator, slipped at her home northeast of the city, eventually making contact with her husband, who raised the alarm.
A rescue mission both treacherous and delicate. 53-year-old Alison Finds is finally winched to safety, almost 4 hours after she tumbled down a steep valley on her Humbug Scrub property.
Alison was just off for a bushwalk, which she enjoys doing, and being very wet and slippery, she slipped over and fortunately bumped her head.
Mrs Finds, who's well known for leading ghost tours on South Australian buildings and towns, hit her head on a rock as she fell. Unable to move, she desperately tried to call her husband to raise the alarm.
Yeah, unfortunately I was in a meeting and she rang some friends and they kept ringing me and finally got a message through.
The area where she slipped was the most inaccessible on the property. Incredibly steep and rocky, it could only be accessed via a neighbouring house.
He knew this was the best way to get through, to get her out. Yeah, because from his property it was inaccessible.
Paramedics were able to reach her on foot, but the only way out was to lift her aboard a rescue helicopter.
Obvious early on that she was in some difficult terrain and it was going to be quite a difficult, complex process to get her out.
She was flown to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, where she remains in a stable condition. Mrs Finds' husband says today's scare won't impact her love of bushwalking. In fact, he expects she'll be back out here hiking as soon as she's out of hospital. Alison Finds.
I want to put something right, all right? Because this really annoys me. They got this wrong. Alison rang me and I started the rescue missions because no one could get in contact with her husband. So she rang me first to see if I could do that night's tour whilst crying and being sick.
And I wasn't, and I'll put another thing right. I wasn't out filming for ghost tours. I was out just bushwalking and filming the wildlife. But it was a wet day. I put my foot on a rock. Unfortunately, there was weeds, and of course it was wet weeds, and the foliage made my foot slip on it, and I took the full brunt on my head. And so Cag gets a call. Cag, can you do
my tour tonight?
You can take it from there on the phone call, Cag.
Yeah. So I end up having to try and get in contact with Alison's husband. There's another member of staff that lived fairly close by. I was about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where Alison was at the time. I was actually at my other job that I used to have. And so I eventually got hold of the other staff member and Alison's husband, and they both went over. And then the rescue sort of went from there. But I just, my favourite thing is, did you see how they got her ankles caught underneath the helicopter? Now, I was kidding myself because I'm thinking she's actually gone to hospital with a bump on her head, but she's then going to end up with 2 broken legs. I couldn't help laughing. It was just so funny. But she's hurt herself that often now. How many times have you hit your head?
3.
Well, she can't even remember now. Look, you see, it's affected her that much.
Like I said.
We've said, as a staff members, we've all got together and said, if she ever rings us because she's had another accident, she's bumped her head, what we're going to do? We're going to keep her talking until the battery goes on her phone and then deny all knowledge of it.
That's our plan. It was great advertising. I was actually wearing my Haunted Horizons t-shirt that day. And it must have been a slow news day because, as I said, it hit 4 news channels. I think Channel 9 got it more correct than any of the others because they've worked with me before. So they recognised the name straight away because all their clips that you saw from the ghost tours are from their news stories. And but I don't know, guys, do you want to watch what it's like from the ground to be rescued by a helicopter? Because the one thing I do remember, because it was 5 hours. I thought it was like 5 minutes. I honestly, time was just gone. I don't even remember the helicopter. I remember going into it. I don't remember land. I seem to remember being pulled out the helicopter, and the next thing I remember, I was in emergency in one of the, which we actually went to investigate, didn't we? After that,
we did, yeah.
And I go, oh look, there's the room I was in just there. So, all right. So I did at the time put a little video together. We can stay on screen as well. Look at that. So you can comment on it. Because when the helicopter came in, nobody realized, I didn't realize how powerful the downdraft is on those helicopters. Actually, I was watching this earlier, Cag, and just the sound of the helicopter coming in was like, oh, I remember that. Brought back all those memories. All right, let's see if it plays.
All right. There's your bed.
Remember, we do this all the time, so if nothing else, just humour us, because it makes us feel important.
You can sit yourself on there and then shuffle yourself down if you want.
Don't be worried about it. We need some reassurance for it. So shuffle your If you get down a bit easy, Mark, I couldn't get IV on this side, so go some iron on there.
Yeah, so stay here, they're going to
good, Alison, doing that breathing really well, okay? Nice and steady. And we're feeling really important because we're able to help you. Yeah. So you are achieving everything that we require.
Even a number one message. ETA for the helicopter is 10 minutes, so that will be 15:45.
Alright guys.
Alright.
Yeah, that's ours.
The things people do for attention, Alison.
Oh, she's a shocker.
If you wanted to be in the grapevine, I could have just taken a
Pretty lucky she did have phone reception down here.
Mine wasn't working, so she was very lucky she got reception.
What are you with? This will go down the street.
So we'll just get the chopper coming in.
Why she tries to get the video attention?
Some people go to any length. Jeez, it's a nightmare of a place for a chopper to come in.
Pulling the gully a little bit.
See, my suggestion was to leave it here, but they don't seem to have listened to me too much.
Claire and Barossa out this way. Yeah, it's just been.
Woman has praised the emergency crews who've come to her rescue twice in the past 3 years. Just last week, she was winched to safety after a bushwalking accident, and now she's found a way of thanking the CFS crews who saved her home from the Samson Flat bushfires.
Alison owes her life and her home to the men and women of our emergency services.
They're amazing. They are heroes. I've seen them firsthand in action twice, and they are just wow.
Just last week, the 53-year-old was winched to safety after she fell and hit her head on a rock on her humbug scrub property.
Put my hand to my head, looked at the blood and just went, that's not good.
Unable to move, she called for help using her mobile phone. Her business partner arrived shortly after and started searching property.
We didn't know whether she was unconscious, whether she was still breathing. It was one of those things we had no idea, so we could only do the best we could.
Paramedics reached her on foot, but the only way out was up. But it's not the first time Alison's needed help. In January 2014, fire crews saved her house from being destroyed by the Samson Flat bushfire, the ferocious flames coming within metres of her home.
If it hadn't been for the CFS and a very well placed water bomber, then we would have lost the house. So it came that close.
She's produced a book as a small way of saying thank you to the firefighters who helped battle the blaze. 100% of the proceeds will go towards the CFS Foundation, which supports volunteers who have been injured or lost property in the line of service.
You just can't thank them enough. They are heroes, and I'm sure there's many lives out there that have been saved because of them.